Please be seated. Thank you. All right. Mr. Patterson, Mr. Chapman, you have another witness?
State calls Lieutenant Span Hancock.
All right. Come on up. Oh, it's not in. Come on up. Have a seat, sir. If you raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in the cause now pending before the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Are you employed?
For the Greene County Sheriff's Office.
How long have you worked for the Greene County Sheriff's Office?
Almost 18 years.
In what capacity do you serve now in the Sheriff's Office?
I am a lieutenant of the jail division of admin and investigations.
Prior to that, what did you do?
I was a detective in the criminal investigation division with Greene County Sheriff's Office doing crimes, investigating crimes.
Were you working in that role in June of 2015?
Yes.
And did you become involved in the investigation of the death of Dee Dee Blanchard?
Yes.
How did you become involved in that investigation?
I was called in on June 15th for a missing person, two missing persons.
And as part of that investigation, did you end up in Wisconsin?
Yes. And I'm sorry, it was June 14th, I apologize.
That's how you were initially called in?
Yes.
Where did you go in Wisconsin?
Big Bend, Wisconsin.
Why did you go to Wisconsin?
We had received information that that's where one of the missing females was at.
Who's that you're referring to?
The Gypsy Blanchard.
And when you went to Wisconsin, did you all find Gypsy Blanchard?
Yes.
Did you find her to be with anyone?
Yes, and Nicholas Godejohn.
Did you end up going to Nicholas Godejohn's house?
Yes.
What, if anything, did you do when you were at Nicholas Godejohn's house there?
Observed them search the house for purpose of case warrant.
And so who performed that search? It wasn't the Greene County Sheriff's Office?
No, it was Waukesha Sheriff's Office in Wisconsin.
And so after they searched the house, what happened with the evidence that was collected at the defendant's house?
Waukesha, the Sheriff's Office collected it, packaged it, and then we took possession of it later.
Are you familiar with the defendant?
Yes.
You see him here in the courtroom.
Yes, to my left. Wearing a blue and white shirt.
Record reflect identification of the defendant.
It will so reflect.
So the items that were collected by the Wisconsin Department, what did you do with those again?
We collected them from them and transported them to Missouri to the Sheriff's Office here in Greene County.
And so as part of that, did you end up repackaging them, like in Greene County evidence bags and whatnot?
Yes.
When you were in Wisconsin, did you learn something about the time frame when the defendant and Ms. Blanchard left Springfield, Missouri?
Yes.
Was that June 11th and then actually on June 12th?
Yes, that's correct.
Did you have some other detectives assisting you in the case?
I did.
Did you have them obtain any kind of surveillance footage showing sort of the timeline of when Ms. Blanchard and the defendant would have left Springfield, Missouri, or attempted to leave Springfield, Missouri?
Yes.
And what, can you just briefly describe where and what was collected?
There's some surveillance from a Days Inn and also from a Greyhound bus station here in Springfield.
And so when they first leave the Days Inn, are they able to then leave Springfield immediately?
No.
What happened?
They were unable to get a bus to Wisconsin and had to stay another night and went back to the Days Inn.
And then where did they go after that?
After the Days Inn, the next day they go back to the Greyhound bus station and obtain a ticket at that point.
In that surveillance footage and still photographs from that footage, has that been put on to the disc that has State's Exhibits 46 through 67?
Yes.
Are those put in chronological order?
They are.
Your Honor, at this time I seek permission to publish State's Exhibits 46 through 67 that have previously been admitted.
You may do so.
Detective, as we're looking at State's Exhibit 46 there, it looks to me like there's a date and time stamp up in the top left-hand corner. Is that correct?
Yes, there is. Stated June 11th of 2015.
11 o'clock in the morning, 11:01?
Yes, that's correct.
And so what are we looking at here in State's Exhibit 46 before we play it?
The opening right here, top of the screen, that's the elevator that goes up to the second floor. And this is the ground level of Days Inn. And then if you go this direction to the right, you go back to the front of the office area.
So that was sort of quick when I watched it. What are we looking at here in State's Exhibit 47? Is that still taken from that surveillance video?
Yes, same date and time. This would be Nicholas Cody John carrying a computer bag, another bag, and Gypsy Blanchard is behind him, rolling a suitcase. And they're exiting the elevator.
All right, now in State's Exhibit 48, what are we looking at here?
This would be the front lobby of the Days Inn. To the left up in the corner is where you first come into the door to the lobby. This is the front desk of the lobby.
And I've looked at the date and timestamp. That's just about 2 minutes after that previous video we saw at the elevators.
That is correct.
Okay. Could I put you on hold just a second, please? Okay. And the name on the bill? Alright, and you have a cash deposit, so if I could see your ID, please. Good morning, thank you for calling the Village Suite 22 hold. Thank you. Alright. So, okay, so you did an early check-in option, looks like. Alright, so yeah, it's just returning the deposit. I don't know why he accomplished those, so. Okay. Alright, and much shorter hair. Alright. Let's see. I could get you to sign here. I don't know why he didn't have you sign that. And then I'll send somebody out to check your equipment. What do you say? Yes. Somebody's signing up checking. You can just have it if you want. It shouldn't be too long. Alright, thank you for holding. So, what was that now? You said that, there's going to be a process at all times, and so you'll be able to check in whenever you arrive. Did you have some special instructions?
Okay. What time?
Yeah, good.
Can you come now?
It depends on who you have to come in. Tomorrow, I don't know. And I'll put a note saying like and what is your mother's name? Chris? With 2 N's? Okay, and Chris is C-H-R-I-S. Alright. Okay, I have changed that to your reservation, so they should have no problem checking in. And I will get these emailed out now that we have the correct email address. Alright? Okay. There is, because you said 4 in one room and 3 in the other. It does increase the rate by $5 just because of the extra adult for the one room, and because we offer confidential structure that we rate. So anytime they want to pay for a room just over 3 people, there is a $5 charge for that. Of course. Okay, so for one room, the room with 4 adults in it, it's going to be $81.72 after taxes. Yes. And also, do you want it's our policy to charge the credit card within that 24-hour window. Do you plan on paying cash or is it okay for us to charge the credit card? Okay. Good. Okay. And the other room, the room with 3 individuals, is $76.60. And that's what the military rate. Well, it is before 4 p.m. if you like to cancel these reservations, or... Oh, okay. Alright. Oh, yeah, So, you're not the first. Alright, I'm sending this confirmation email to you right now, and so if you don't do not receive it within, let's say, half an hour or so, go ahead and all that. Everything. But you should receive it now that we have it. It'll be tomorrow morning. Alright, any other questions? 130 and 129, that is right next to the wall, so. Yes, they are. Alright, those emails have been sent to you, you should be receiving them shortly. Thank you so much for giving us a call, and have a wonderful day. Alright, Karen, you can go ahead and sign for this. I've given the go-ahead to return the deposit. Just go ahead and sign on that one. And it's a $50 bill, okay?
Thank you.
All right. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for staying with us.
Apologize, I probably can't remember who this time we had.
Oh, it's just checked out as 11 a.m. But no, it's fine. I mean, I didn't work in the hotel business before I started working here, and I had no idea.
Now, Safety Exhibit 49 is just a still photograph of the defendant walking out after checking out on that day.
Yes, that is correct.
Now, Safety Exhibit 50, before we play this, what are we looking at here?
This is the main entrance to the Greyhound bus station. Where the cab is at, is where you pull up and you can walk into the entrance here. And right at the bottom of the screen, right there is a ticket counter where people would purchase tickets.
And kind of small, but over in the left-hand corner where it says CAM 12, does that have a date stamp of 2015-6/11?
Yes, 6/11, 2015, and I believe 11/12.
Was it 11 the date? You want to step down so you can see it a little clearer.
Yes.
So it's June 11th and at 12:45 and 34 seconds.
Yes, that's correct, 12:45.
And the Greyhound video does not have audio, correct?
Not that I'm aware of.
While we're watching, did you recognize the person who was checking out in those previous exhibits in the Days Inn?
Yes,
Who was it?
Nicholas John. There's also another entrance over, which is where they're going to.
All right, what are we looking at here in 51?
This is another entrance of the Greyhound bus station that we come around this way. And this is a ticket counter that's right here. 2 employees standing there.
You recognize the people who just walked up to the counter?
Yes, Nicholas John, Dee Dee Blanchard.
So as we're watching, did Mr. Godejohn just hand the clerk some paper?
Yes, he did. Cash being exchanged there
Between who?
between Nicholas Godejohn and the clerk for the investigation.
Did the clerk just provide the change to Mr. Godejohn?
Yes, he did.
And they have the tickets to Mr. Godejohn?
That's correct.
When you say Exhibit 52, is that just a different angle, that same transaction we just watched?
That is correct. That's more over the ticket counter area.
It says Exhibit 53, on that same day, a little bit later at 1, say 1300, should be 1:12 in military time, correct?
That is correct.
For a regular time. Back looking at the front door of the Greyhound bus station.
That is correct. That was the main entrance. One of the main entrances. Nicholas Littlejohn and Gypsy Blanchard exiting the main entrance of the Greyhound.
What does she appear to have with her?
Their roll-around luggage, backpack, black backpack.
And his luggage?
He has a red Marlboro backpack and a computer bag. The cab driver is dropping off with two individuals that are going to get out of the cab and then they eventually get into the cab.
Stacy took 54, is that just a still then walking out to that cab that you just watched?
Yes.
We're looking at now Stacy exhibit 55.
This is the front entrance of the lobby of the Days Inn again, dated June 11th of 2015. And it's showing 13, let's say 17 hours. I can't see this up there.
So would that be 1:17 p.m. for most of us?
1:17 p.m. correct.
The credit card number for the company because the thing said we've already paid for the room. Hello. Another room or?
Just one,
Okay. Not another night?
just one night, yeah.
Okay.
You need it? Because it's about a year ago, I haven't done it lately at all.
Yeah, I just called to ask them for their number and she said, no, you're set up to do your own bill. Your manager will know about it.
You know, we haven't done it in a year, so we need all the information, okay?
What room are you in?
I was, on 7
Oh, okay. Did you leave the room here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
I was like, yeah, it was when we were so busy and, okay. So you'd like to, sorry. And your name?
My name is Nicholas.
Oh, okay. And it's just one night?
Yep.
Okay, and there's one adult, no
Yep.
children?
No.
Non-smoking key.
Yep.
Okay. And what room did you say you had been in?
I was in 617.
227. Okay.
I leave.
Uh-huh.
That's fine. We got information over here on their ability.
Okay. Alright, do you have a preference for what floor you want to be on? What room, sorry? You want that room again? I don't know if housekeeping... Oh, yeah, what about 226? It's right next.
That's fine. Yes.
Okay. So you liked that room. Hopefully this room will be good for you too. Alright, your total is going to be $68.10. There's your bath. 100. Alright, don't happen to have a dime, do you?
I don't know, actually. I don't know.
Hey, check that out. Give you dollars back.
Yeah.
Alright, your change is $32 even. So we have 20, 31, 32. And then the deposit, $50 deposit.
Hi, Bobby, this is Bobby.
Hand it right back to me, huh? The same one I gave you earlier, but... Alright, do you have any pets with you now? It looks like they're initial treatment, so you do not have pets?
Oh, Misha?
Yeah. And you go ahead and sign. You already paid, but we have to have the signatures on there. And then your vehicle information, please.
I want to hear.
Oh, then go ahead and just put NA, non-applicable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just right here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Alright, here are your keys. You will be right next to the locked-in door. So, overlooking the Appleton parking lot. You know, breakfast is there from the same floor, 8:30 to 9:30. And the pool and the fitness room are open 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Don't forget your soda. Enjoy.
Thank you.
And who was that we saw checking into the day in 6055?
Let's go, John.
And is 56 just a still of him giving the key to the room?
Yes.
Where are we now, in 6257?
We are back at the Days Inn, the elevator that goes to the second floor, and the ground floor that goes to the lobby right there. Same date, 6/11/2015, 13/24 hours and 51/24.
Right after checking in.
That's correct.
And then 6258, is that just a still of them going, Dee Dee Blanchard and they go going to the elevator?
Yes.
Now in 6259, what day is it now?
It's 6/12/2015 at 6:22 in the morning, and this is also another shot of the elevator, ground floor.
So the next day in the early morning.
Correct.
recognize anyone in that video, Stacy Exhibit 59?
Yes, Nicholas and Gypsy, that's in the elevator and walking, moving around for looking around. I think that's the better.
And Stacy Exhibit 60, is that a still of them leaving?
Yes,
Same luggage as the day before?
yes.
Now what are we looking at?
You're looking at the lobby of the Days Inn again. This is a different park, same day, at 6:23 hours a week.
When you say same day, you mean June 12th?
June 12th, correct.
You're checking out? Yes. And I think now, I'll be your room, you have to get to work as well.
Okay.
You're in room, no, you're in 326. Let me go and check the room and make sure everything's in working order. And then I'll give you your deposit back. Your room, you can check it out. And what room are you in? 332.
And then Stacy Exhibit 62, is that just a still photo and checking out at that time?
Yes.
We're looking at Stacy Exhibit 63.
This is the front of the Greyhound bus station again. There's a yellow cab in front of the door there.
And the timestamp,
Again, that is 6/12 of 2015 at 7:14 hours.
7:14 a.m.
Correct.
We found that person that just held the door for the female.
Yes, that's Nicholas and then Gypsy is behind him right there.
Is that just a still of them approaching the doors in 64?
That is correct.
And 65 is still them just inside the doors?
That is correct.
I'm going to go back to 65. So when you walk off to the left, like we saw in the video, does that end up being over in the area where one would actually wait for the buses?
Yes.
Is that what we're looking at here in Stacy Exhibit 66?
Yes. You're looking at the back of the Greyhound bus station where the buses will park. These are the doors. You have numbers above them and people wait in specific numbers to exit onto their bus.
It's a little hard to see the numbers. Can you use that map pointer that's up there by you and show me what you're talking about when you say the numbers?
There is some numbers above these doors that indicate where you're supposed to be, according to your ticket, to stand in line. There's some seating area along here, back through here, and over in this area for people to wait. This is Nicholas and Gypsy. We're sitting down on the bench right here, getting ready to stand up and get in line.
at the bottom of the video there in 66.
At the bottom, that's the still Nicholson's using right there.
Put your back on there.
That's correct.
So there, did the defendant just present his tickets to the defendant and hold the door for Gypsy for the record?
He did.
And State's Exhibit 67, is that just a still and then waiting in line, or we just watch the video out? You familiar with the Facebook bag that was found in Waukesha County?
Yes,
Did you remove a phone from that bag?
I did.
Was it an LG phone?
Yes.
Okay, what's been marked identification, State's Exhibit 94. Do you recognize that?
Yes. The phone that came out of the Facebook bag that the Gypsy Blanchard was carrying?
And is it substantially the same condition as when you took it out of the Facebook bag?
Yes,
Except that the battery's been removed now?
that is correct.
I moved to admit State's Exhibit 94.
Any objection subject to the media contained thereon?
There you are.
All right. So it'd be admitted subject to the media at a later time.
Did you have an occasion to see the defendant when you were up in Waukesha County?
Yes,
And on his right hand, did he have any kind of injury on that hand?
he did.
What kind of injury do you have on his right hand?
There was a cut on his finger,
Which finger?
what I call the index finger.
The right index finger.
Correct.
Did you obtain any kind of sample from the defendant?
I did.
What kind of sample did you obtain from the defendant?
DNA sample
How did you obtain that?
through a search warrant.
And then how physically did you obtain it?
Made contact with him at the jail and swab and some blood.
And did you have the opportunity to make contact with Gypsy Blanchard as well?
I did.
And did you obtain a similar swab of her DNA from her?
Yes.
This show what's been marked for identification, State's Exhibit 178. Do you recognize that?
I do.
And it's got some blue lab tape at the bottom
Correct.
and a lab sticker on the back.
Correct.
Other than that, does it appear to be in substantially the same condition as when you packaged it?
Yes.
And what is State's Exhibit 178?
It's a buccal swab from Cody County.
And so is that the DNA sample you took from the defendant?
That is correct.
I'd move to admit State's Exhibit 178.
No objection.
Be received without objection.
Now looking at what's been marked as State's Exhibit 179 for identification. Do you recognize that?
I do.
And does it also have some blue lab tape at the bottom
Yes.
and a lab sticker on the back?
Yes.
Other than that, does it appear to be in substantially the same condition as when you packaged it?
Yes.
And what is State's Exhibit 179?
It's a swab of Gypsy's cheek.
So the DNA sample you took from Gypsy Blanchard?
That is correct.
I'd move to admit State's Exhibit 179.
No objection.
Be received without objection.
Are you familiar with the manila envelope that was found up in Waukesha, Wisconsin in the closet?
Yes.
And it was addressed as if it had been mailed there, is that correct?
That is correct.
Did you open that up in Wisconsin, or what did you do with that item up there
It wasn't open until we got here to Green County.
until you got here to Greene County?
Correct.
And so did you and another detective open that envelope?
Yes.
Who was that you worked with on that?
At the time, it was Detective Jim Stanley.
I'm going to show you a series of photos in this binder. If you just look at them with me while I read off the numbers. 133, 134, 135, and 136, 137, and 138, 139, and 140, 141. In general, do you recognize what's depicted in those photographs?
Yes.
In general, what is depicted in those photographs?
Packaging, and then an envelope that the knife and gloves were in.
Were you documenting removing the items from that mail envelope?
Yes.
And do these fairly and accurately depict that process?
Yes, it does.
I'd move to admit State's Exhibits 131, 132, 133, 134, 135, 136, 137, 138, 139, 140, and 141.
No objection.
They'll be received without objection.
So looking at State's Exhibit 131, what are we looking at there?
This is Waukesha County's packaging that their evidence table is at the top of the package right there.
And then 132,
This is the back of what you just saw.
Alan Voss's initials.
That is correct, in Waukesha County.
And now on 133, is that just that label from the front turned so we can read it?
I'm sorry?
Is that just the label from the front of that package turned so we can read it?
Correct.
134, what is that?
This is the envelope that we found in the bedroom in the closet.
135.
That is the back of that same envelope that you just showed.
And then was there another envelope inside of that?
There was.
Is that what we see here in 136?
That is correct.
And what are we looking at here in 137?
This is the other side of that envelope with the handle of the knife and some gloves sticking out of the top corner.
We're looking at here in 138.
This is the knife and glove that was removed from that packaging of that previous picture.
139.
Same, just a different view.
140.
This is the glove and the handle, close up of the handle.
And 141.
And this is the knife with the scale.
Did you repackage the gloves and the knife?
Yes.
I show you it's been marked for identification at State's Exhibit 144. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
What is State's Exhibit 144?
This is the packaging that we repackaged everything in after we had photographed it, me and the detective Stanley.
You mean everything? You mean the gloves?
Yes, sorry, the gloves. Correct.
Okay. And they've been since removed from the paper bag and put in a Ziploc bag so they're easier to view. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Are these gloves in substantially the same condition as they were when you repackaged them?
Yes.
Now, in the picture, they're kind of together, right?
That is correct.
And they've been separated here.
Correct.
Correct? Okay. I move to admit State's Exhibit 144.
No objection.
They'll be received without objection.
So there's one glove that's laid out flat here. As I look at it, does it have any kind of cut on any of the fingers?
Yes.
Which finger?
The index finger.
May I have the witness step down with me to the document camera?
Yes.
You put on some gloves. some scissors sitting there too. Carefully cut the end there so we can take that glove out. Now, if you would take the glove out, I got some paper here on the back of the camera, would you set it on there? And we'll see if we can see the, we may have to have you walk in front of the jury, but if we can show it on the camera, we will. All right, so this would be the thumb of the glove here, correct?
That is correct.
And then this would be the index finger of the glove?
Yes.
That's not good. Let's see, let's see. All right, it's not very visible on the camera. May I have the detective walk along the rail and hold the glove and hold it on one of these pieces of paper?
You see this, Mr. Ladies and gentlemen in the back row, if you want to stand up, it might be easier.
Back in here. We'll reseal that here, John. And when you take your seat, would you take a moment and look at that box that's marked State's Exhibit 145 in front of you? Do you recognize that?
Yes.
What is that?
That's the packaging that we put the knife into. I had removed it to take some photographs of it. My initials were on the evidence thing.
So the knife we saw that was removed from the postage envelope.
Correct.
And other than the fact that it's got some blue evidence tape and some lab markings on it, is it substantially in the same condition as when it was repackaged?
Yes.
And we've opened this to look at before trial, correct?
Yes.
So if you look inside, there's some paper envelopes with writing on them with blue lab tape on it, correct?
That is correct.
And then also, is the knife inside there?
It is.
And is it in substantially the same condition, other than some blue film and other things on it from the lab?
That is correct.
I move to admit State's Exhibit 145.
No objection.
Proceed without objection.
And the knife is in its sheath, right, a plastic sheath here,
It's a black plastic sheath, yes.
just like we saw it in the pictures.
Correct.
Correct? Your Honor, at this time, I'd seek leave of court to have the detective remove it and remove the sheath so the jury can see what it looks like without the sheath.
Yes, sir.
So first,
Just don't have so that you can see.
No further questions.
Mr. Reed, anything?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Lieutenant Hancock, you traveled to Wisconsin, correct?
That is correct.
And you flew there with Detective Holden, correct?
Correct.
And you interviewed Nicholas Godejohn,
No, sir, I did not. Mahoney interviewed him.
and you interviewed Gypsy Blanchard.
Blanchard, yes.
And those interviews weren't at the same time, were they?
No.
And while Detective Mahoney interviewed Nicholas Godejohn, you were watching, I guess, on the closed circuit camera, correct?
Correct.
And while you were interviewing Gypsy Blanchard, Officer Detective Mahoney was watching you on the closed circuit camera.
Correct.
And you left Wisconsin with a whole bunch of evidence,
Correct.
bags and bags of evidence.
Correct.
How'd you get that on the plane?
We didn't take the plane, rented a vehicle. Yeah, once the evidence was transferred to us, it went immediately into that vehicle, and it was never left either my side or Detective Mahoney's side.
So you drove back?
That is correct.
Okay. And you were the lead investigator on this case, correct?
I was assigned the case, yes.
And you're familiar with the home on Volunteer Way, correct?
Yes.
And there was a Nissan Cube in the driveway?
I believe it was a Cube.
Okay, who owned that?
I believe the registration came back to Dee Dee Blanchard.
And were the keys to that vehicle found inside the house?
I don't recall that. I didn't process the scene.
We watched the videos of the hotel and the Greyhound bus station, correct?
Correct.
Those were all cash transactions by Mr. Godejohn.
Correct.
And the deposit was returned with a $50 bill, correct?
To the best of my knowledge, I didn't actually see it, but I believe that's correct.
Okay. And Nick checked into that hotel under his name, Nicholas Godejohn.
Correct.
And everything was paid for by cash. There weren't any credit cards?
Not to my knowledge.
Thank you, sir.
Anything further?
Yes, sir.
No, you're right.
May this witness be excused.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Officer, thank you, appreciate it. Folks, it's about noon. Do you have a quick witness, or should we recess for lunch?
Probably should recess.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to again remind you of what you were told at the first recess of the court. Until you retire to consider your verdict, you must not discuss this case among yourselves or with others, or permit anyone to discuss it in your hearing. You should not form or express any opinion about the case until it is finally given to you to decide. Do not do any research or investigation on your own about any matter regarding this case or anyone involved with the trial. Do not communicate with others about the case by any means. Do not read, view, or listen to any newspaper, radio, electronic communication from the internet, or television report of the trial. We'll recess till 1:30. I have a court and bank meeting that I must go to briefly. So we'll see you back downstairs about 1:25 if we could. We'll try to start up right at 1:30. Thank you. Please, Ron. Be seated, please. Are you certain to be able to wrap it up by this afternoon session?
Yes, sir.
All right. And one of the witnesses you're going to try and get in the data, is that correct?
Yes.
Who is that?
Michael Costello.
Mr. Costello.
Computer analyst at Springfield Police Department.
All right. Okay, we'll probably do that off to the side here, out of the hearing of the jury. If he has an objection, is what I was going to say. I'm assuming you're going to object to some of that, that's what we've talked about.
Yeah, I was going to ask Mr. Patterson which videos he intended on showing.
Plan on showing videos with me. We're going to introduce the other browsing history.
Okay.
And I suspect we would object to that.
All right, well, we can make a record. We can make a record once they attempt to introduce it. We'll just do it out of the hearing of the jury.
Yes, sir.
Okay, see you all at 1:30 then. Thank you.